Two tools. Two tools. Two tools. No clue!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Two Tools No Clue podcast. I'm Anna,
And I'm Jeidan.
and today we're learning about
Spices. Who has them? Who wants them? And how do you make your own?
how do you. But first, what's going on the homestead?
Let's see. Well, I did some things in the yard today
Yeah, you did.
because the snow has melted, at least in the portion where our garden is. And we are very determined this growing seasons, we are going to conquer all 3 seasons this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I, w- laid down 2 beds worth of cardboard, and I went around and I picked up a bunch of sticks and old composted plants from last year
Mm-hmm.
because we
The
kind of left
tomatoes.
the tomatoes. So the greenhouse is all cleared out now. So yeah, we are getting ready. I mean, obviously it's fake spring in New England right now. We are no dummies.
Yeah, right now it's March 15th
Yep.
as we record this, so we're
So
almost there.
there's been a few really nice days. Obviously, we all know it's not real yet, but we are trying to get ahead this year because we usually fall short at the beginning and then we get a little overwhelmed. And so we're trying to avoid that this year.
Yeah.
Especially because my back is kind of, I have to do a better job taking care of it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also finally got our maple kitten.
Yay! Amazon
Nice.
came.
Yep. I've been waiting to share it with you guys, so we're gonna
We're
open
gonna
it right
open
now.
it for art. And if you want to see this and you're just listening, head on over to YouTube.
And Anna will describe what is happening because
Yes.
she's much better at it than myself. So
Our producer Larry is making
we
coins.
ordered it comes with 10 taps and 10 bags and 10 tubes to attach the taps to the bags. And
Jay is pulling out a very large wad of plastic.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
a bunch of
okay.
white caps fell to the floor.
So I will say that so a lot of people in the reviews on Amazon said that their caps did not have holes in it.
Oh, snap. Ours
And
ours
so
do.
what I'm realizing, well, it comes with 2 sets of caps.
Oh, but they're very poorly drilled.
So, I mean, at least we have those though, because what people ended up having to do is take these caps that are for like after you're done
Mm-hmm.
for like storage purposes. They were drilling the holes into that. So that's at least a plus.
This is not sponsored.
Yeah, I don't think there is a brand. Anyway, but I think the bag is cool. It's not a bucket that hangs on your tree. It doesn't stress your tree out as much because it's a tube. So it's
So the weight
better
is
the
the
weight is
issue?
on the ground.
Okay. So you put the bag on the ground?
Yep, you put the bag on the
Interesting.
ground. It's plastic. What I was thinking of doing is still having a bucket because we have a lot of spare buckets right now that have holes in it, so it won't fill up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should probably put them inside a bucket still, just so like the animals don't mess with it. But I'm excited because so those are the bags and then the taps are fairly small, so they're not really gonna hurt the tree
Oh,
at all.
they're like
So the shorter side attaches to the tubing.
they look like giant earbuds.
It reminds me of a tee for golf with a little spout on the end.
Oh yeah.
And that's what it reminds me of. But But yeah, so the big side goes on the tube that then attaches to the bag, so it flows down, gravity, it fills up, and then this goes into the tree after you drill a little hole in, and it isn't as stressful on the tree
Nice.
because most taps, like, it comes with like that little hook that you then hang it on.
Right.
So the tree will heal quicker because there's not as much stress going on. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So we'll see if they work.
Yeah, this will be a Patreon video if anyone wants to
mean-
head on over to our Patreon.
Yeah, I'm
Because
excited.
spoiler alert, my next full episode is gonna be about maple syrup.
Ooh, ooh.
So we're gonna be
Perfect
posting our
timing.
Patreon episode about us tapping our own very own maple syrup for the very first time
Yeah, who
and-
knows what's gonna
and-
happen?
making it on Patreon. So
Yeah.
check it out there.
And then we also purchased our home garden 30 heirloom seed packet this year. Usually we pick out our own seeds, but we figured why not try it out?
We went to Walmart for exactly 5 different seeds that we didn't have out of every seed we needed. And we came home with this packet of 30 seeds, 30 different types of veggies to grow.
I'm excited because they seem to come from a legit place. I think it's fun that it says survival garden seeds because
Tropical.
the times be survivally.
I love it.
That was an evil laugh, but I'm not on team evil. But yeah, so I think it's just gonna motivate us a little bit more this year because things are expensive.
And just getting more
I
expensive.
love vegetables and fruit. And when the cantaloupe was coming out of the garden last summer, that was extra satisfying.
Yeah, we've never grown cantaloupe before, and
So
it
easy.
was easier than we
Yeah.
thought.
Definitely enjoyed the soil and the location. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to make it a bigger mound this year.
Yeah.
We learned some weird things about melons since we grew our first one, so we're excited. We're gonna try the mound method, which is you literally just pile up, like a dirt pile,
Mhm.
and then you plant your plants kind of around it, like midway, and they grow up and they grow down and they love it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So they hopefully they won't end up in the grass as much, but I'm sure they still will
Oh, I
because they
see.
enjoyed the grass.
Yeah, they didn't do bad in the grass. I had to rotate them a lot to prevent mold. And they did get a little bit of mold, but it wasn't terrible.
So yeah, I guess that's what's going on around the homestead.
Alrighty. Should we get into the spices?
Yes, let's get spicy.
Spicy.
So to make this episode, I of course ended up on some weird and funny websites, but I also watched a 3-hour documentary
Yeah, when he said he was watching a 3-hour documentary, I was like, excuse me?
all about spices.
And you watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing and I was not disappointed. For some reason, I was so fascinated.
It didn't lose
between
your attention for the whole 3 hours?
nothing.
Wow.
And
What's the name of this documentary? Where do you watch it? Shout it out for the people.
I watched it by the segments on YouTube, and it was called The Spice Trail. And this British woman took you on an adventure. And what I thought was fascinating about it is she actually traveled to the places, right? So it's just some like
Mm.
straight up British documentary shit.
I love it.
Yeah.
Here for it.
And it was. And where they were going was so fascinating because even now to get to some of these places, like you have to do some crazy adventures. And so yeah, it was very cool, and I'm sure I have watched segments of that throughout my educational bits because it's just like it just seems like one of those things that you would learn about somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
And
You've
obviously I
seen it
didn't take it
before?
in. No, obviously I didn't take it in, but it kind of just seemed like that's why it was like broken up like that. But I don't know. It was really cool. And so, yeah, I watched that. And then I also read this article called spiceadvice.com. And it's all about
Spice advice.
it's all about spices. It was pretty cool. Like how to like what to do with your spices, where your spices came from, like just I don't know, it was pretty funny. And then I'm just gonna shout them all out right now, I guess. I don't want to leave anybody out. And then I also was on BBC.com, and that article was called "The Flavors That Shaped the World," and that was actually pretty cool because it was like an interactive website
Oh,
almost.
wow.
So you could like click into stuff. Like I don't know. I think I got lucky with the topic.
Mm.
And you know how I've been, especially this past year when we figured out how to make cayenne pepper. Obviously, now I know, but my mind was blown, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was cool. So yeah, I guess we'll just dive into it. So my first very random fact
First fun fact.
comes from an Assyrian myth, and it is the earliest recorded use of a spice is the sesame.
The sesame. I love seeds.
Yep, sesame seeds.
love
This
sesame
myth
seeds.
claims that the gods drank sesame wine the night
Ew.
before they created the earth.
Sesame wine.
Yeah, like sesame oil.
I was gonna say I love the smell of sesame oil. There's
I
just
don't.
something about it, like the earthiness. I don't know, but
Do you think the co-op has
I don't
sesame
think-
wine,
maybe we should look.
or do you think it's like an ancient thing? Like,
It's just for the gods, not for us
it's like
mortals.
fermented sesames. I don't know what it is or how it is, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Wicked freaking random fact.
that is random.
But I just wanted that. It's because it's the first one, so I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was cool.
That is cool.
So that was on. That was on my search during the history of spices on spiceadvice.com. Like one of the many things that I said. Also on there, a lot of the spices that we all know, we all use. Once upon a time, a lot of people didn't have access to them unless they
Yeah.
were ending up in the Mediterranean from Asia, because they were
Mm.
all coming from Asia just because of how they're grown and the climate they're grown in, like just like every other plant. Like, and I think it's funny, just
They
like
didn't.
everything.
They didn't grow their own spices in the Mediterranean,
Well, some of them could be grown there.
but just the ones that they wanted were they had to like get them from Asia.
Yeah, they had never heard of that before.
Oh,
The
okay,
plants didn't grow there.
gotcha.
You know, like they just hadn't been stolen yet. But we'll get into it. Don't worry.
Oh, jeez.
So, basically, these Arab traders, like they had the upper hand. Obviously, the white man don't like that,
Hmm.
right? But they would tell them terrifying stories, just crazy stuff, to keep them from not really even wanting to do it, because it's not like they could just hop on their little jet, send their boy to go check it out like these
Yeah.
rich people can today. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like they go on a boat and they either find it or they get lost
Yeah.
and
So,
die.
That's right. These rich people who have the spices are telling these other people lies so that they don't try to come get the spices.
They're not really rich, but they're the middlemen. They're the Arab merchants that would make the trek to the Mediterranean from like India,
Yeah.
which is like a very far way
Yeah.
to walk and to
Jeez.
donkey it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, because that's what they were kind of doing. But like that was the only way,
Mhm.
and Europeans were not going to do that.
Right.
They also didn't really have access, or like I said, the upper hand. It probably wasn't safe for them. But
Right.
yeah, so I just thought it was pretty cool. There's a lot of tales that I'm gonna tell you guys that I think are funny.
Heck yeah.
So the first one was the ferocious cinnamon bird, or the cynomolgus.
The cynomolgus.
This large bird made its nest from delicate cinnamon sticks.
Is this real?
No, Anna. I just told you.
It's a myth.
Okay. Yes. This is what they would tell them. Okay. Are you ready?
Like, oh my god!
I didn't even get to the scary part yet. Anyway. Okay, Anna. This large bird made its nest from the delicate cinnamon sticks. The traders said one way to get the cinnamon was to bait the cynomolgus with large chunks of meat. The birds would fly down from their nest, snatch up the meat, and fly back. The precarious cinnamon nest would collapse when the bird returned weighted with its catch. Then quick-witted traders could gather up the fallen cinnamon and take it to market.
So, if this bird has a single meal and then heads home, its whole nest is gonna fall apart?
Yeah, it's crazy if you think about it. But,
Cynomolgus. Poor
these
thing.
homeboys, they believed it. They were like, holy shit, thanks for the cinnamon. Like, good job.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine just the other stuff that they probably told them? It's just not real. That's not how cinnamon is made. We'll
No.
find out how. It's actually very interesting because I had no idea because, I am a fool who has no clue.
I think I know, but maybe I don't.
Okay. Before I get into it, later on, I'll ask you them. So also for many years, the Greeks and Romans were fooled by that. And I just thought it was funny because the Romans literally took over a lot of places. Like they were the first people to kind of dominate things.
Mm.
And there were some corners of the world that stopped them. And I feel like probably Arab merchants were one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was all on the Made on Earth article that I was telling you about from BBC, the fold out one. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then on my spice trail journey, another one that was told was Arab merchants again. They would tell the tale of the peppercorn gardens. And in these gardens, they were guarded by flying serpents. I'm already out. I don't like
Wow.
pepper. I don't like snakes. I'm good. All right. So already, if you say flying serpent to me, never mind. You keep on with your trading of peppercorn. Good for you.
It's not worth it.
The only way to get the peppercorns was to engulf the gardens in flames
What?
so the serpents would flee.
Wouldn't that fuck up the peppers?
That's how they were made. So that would make the serpents fly away. Not run. They obviously never run, but and it would give the merchants time to gather up all the burnt berries now.
Oh, okay. I was like,
of
while it's in
peppercorn.
flames.
So the burnt berries, they're ready to go. They're now peppercorns, and they bring them back. And I feel like if someone told me that story, I'd be like, "Thank you so much for your services. Yes, I will pay you this much for these peppercorns." So yeah, I
Honestly,
thought that
really
was pretty
smart.
funny. Yeah, wicked smart. They obviously use this tactic to hold on to their trading route for a very long time.
Yeah, nobody's wanting to deal with any flying serpents. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
So obviously it was kept for a secret for a very long time, strictly because they didn't really have access to it unless they were trying to travel that route. But I feel like they would probably give them a little bit of pushback if they tried to travel their route too.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
probably feel like you had to know people to be a trader, but that's my just thought.
It's like sales today. Gotta know people.
So the Portuguese were the first to kind of finally be like, no, I want these spices. Take this boat, go find them. And these explorers, like they would go. This guy named Vasco da Gama, he was the first one. He said, "Yep, of course, I will travel all the way to the shores of India and Asia, and I won't come back until I have all these fancy spices.
So he knew he was going to India and Asia at least. He
Yeah,
wasn't just
he
like
didn't know how to
wandering.
get there at
Oh,
all.
wow. Do you know the general direction?
They knew he was gonna have to go down the coast of Africa, turn the bend, but after that,
Wow.
that's as far as they had been traveling.
That's scary.
Yeah, because if you go the wrong way, it's the ocean. It's the Atlantic
Yeah.
Ocean, and it's probably pretty unforgiving on that side too. Um, Probably end up in the Bermuda Triangle real quick if you just keep
Never to
going
be heard from
across, you
again.
know? Um, so yeah, he ended up on the coast of Malabar in India. And obviously, like most, European travelers, they thought they were showing up to, tribes and people who didn't really know how to settle or civilize.
Uncivilized
Yes,
folk.
uncivilized folk. But that was the complete opposite. It was very civilized.
They're like, oh shit.
Bustling cities. So
Some brick ass buildings up in
yeah,
here.
yeah. Um, so yeah, they showed up and obviously they knew they had to figure something out. So manipulation wasn't going to work. So they had to kind of take them by force.
Mhm.
So they were the first ones to kind of invade that coast. They used
How many Portuguese were there in order for them to invade this whole city?
so like they would like come in fleets, but I feel like then once they were established, it was like okay, you go back and get the others.
Okay.
Because they made forts. There are still forts all throughout these islands and India
The
that
Portuguese
are
people made?
they're
Wow.
very European, very British, very Dutch, and you can tell who invaded the worst, the best, however you want to put it,
Mm.
because of some of the structures. Like, it's
Wow.
actually very beautiful to look at. Like, when I was watching that documentary, like, especially, like, in the Indonesian islands,
Hmm.
there's a lot of Dutch structures, like forts and even just, like, houses, and it's
Interesting.
just I don't know, it's just, like, extra, like, exotic because I don't know, it's just very, untouched but touched.
Right.
Because there's not much I don't know,
They
like,
don't need them
they're
anymore.
gone now.
Yeah.
They're not in charge of those places now, so I don't
Right.
know. It's very interesting because
Hmm.
all of that stuff wouldn't be there if it wasn't for these spices
Right.
that we're gonna get
Oh,
into, yeah.
yeah.
So obviously, we'll get into peppercorn, but we're gonna do pepper, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cloves.
Heck yeah.
So we're gonna go over the brief history, who invaded, why, how they overcome, stuff like that, and then the harvesting techniques of them too.
Sweet.
So, yeah, we are gonna start in India, like I was already telling you. They still hold the largest part of the spice industry today.
India does?
Yep. And what's good about it is at least like they're in somewhat control. Sorry, America is the number one consumer of Indian spices.
Wow.
We at 14%.
14%.
Yeah, which I think that's a pretty big number.
And that's
If you're thinking
because,
about like every country in the world.
right. And that's because we can't grow it here, right? It's
Yes,
not because we're eating more spices
yes.
than other countries.
So that is correct. Peppercorn grows as a vine plant. They remind me of kind of peas, but without shells. They kind of just grow down together, like little
Okay.
bead. They grow on vines, and the vines grow up like in the trees in the jungle.
So
Um,
they're not related to peppers at all.
no,
Interesting. I wonder why
yeah,
they're called peppercorns.
yeah. I think it's interesting because like you think of cayenne pepper,
Right. Yeah.
that is from a cayenne pepper. But yeah, so when they harvest it on the documentary that I watched, one of the ways that they were doing it is they had these bamboo ladders And when I say that, I mean it was like literally a bamboo shoot with like little nubs like on the side that they would just climb up. They'd like
Wow.
gather all these vines, they like flick them off, and then they would throw them onto this like woven mat. And to separate the peppercorns from the vines that they had pulled them with, they would like dance on them. And like obviously the white lady was like, I want to try.
Is there like a specific way to dance on them?
They like the way they kind of did it, it was like almost like they would use one foot to kind of like hold it, and then the other would like kind of roll over it so that it
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
like fully stepping on it,
Right.
if that makes sense. But it was very, and they did it so fast, right? So it's just like it does look like they're dancing, and then they would take away all the stems, and they would spread them all out on that same mat just outside for 3 days. And what I thought was really cool is like people would go pick, and for a lot of the spices, like the way the trees work in a lot of the islands, that like if stuff falls onto the ground, like it's for like the kids can take it,
Mhm.
and then there's like a certain amount of your crop that you like have to like give to them. And so you would walk down like this lady was walking down the street, right, and it was just lined with mats drying stuff out.
Wow.
I thought it was really cool because obviously like that's how all these families make their money.
Right.
They just spend the time doing all this stuff. It was the same for cloves. Like the villages that's what they did, is it was the clove trees. The kids would go find the fallen ones, and with the cloves, like they used the stems too.
I wonder how the big companies get their peppercorn, because 'cause they're obviously not dancing on it in, like, a
E-
warehouse.
it's sad. What I'm going to tell you is it's all coming from these people. The part about cinnamon really stood out to me because like that gets priced up by like 300% by the time it gets to us.
Wow.
And those farmers and those people harvesting all of the spices, like they're not getting that money.
Right. They're getting, like,
McCormick is getting it.
yeah, they're getting, like, a huge
Yeah,
or a very small fraction.
exactly. And there are really big spice retailers in India. Like, do not get me wrong.
Mhm.
Like, there is a middleman that has money. That she went to like this warehouse.
The lady in the
Yeah.
documentary.
And how they did like trading and stuff. It's like this hand system under a blanket so that you don't swindle each other or something like that. But you have
Weird.
to know the system. Really
You're,
crazy
like,
stuff.
touching each other instead of
Yeah, it was
speaking
like a
verbally?
tapping thing. Yeah, and that way traders didn't need to speak the same language. It was a trader
Whoa.
language, and it started on the trail.
That's cool.
Yeah. So when the Europeans found the direct route, the Portuguese got there, and that was kind of the start of the colonization of India.
Mm.
Uh, for 500 years, they
Wow.
were colonized. By the end of it, it was British rule.
Typical.
Yep, and they got their freedom as a country in 1947. So it's not
Wow.
that far away from the lives that we live right now. Like my grandparents were alive at that time.
Yeah. My grandma was born the year after.
Yeah.
Very close to us.
Now we're gonna go to Indonesia. So in Indonesia, that's actually where nutmeg and clove originates, the
Okay.
plants. So until the baddies got there, that's the only place where you could find it, was on throughout these Indonesian islands.
Wow.
And there's quite a few Indonesian islands. I didn't actually realize that. I thought Indonesia was the island. That is not the case. And so that's also why it's kind of like bad luck that they even found them. Bad luck for the islanders, not for the Portuguese and the
Right.
Dutch and the British, but um and Spain.
Yeah, 'cause
Spain, I don't forget about you.
there's no map. They're just stumbling upon these tiny little islands like, "Oh, there's
Yeah,
one."
just like that. So they would find islands, right? And they all knew they had things that the other wanted. So then they started just fighting over the islands. And that's kind of by the time Indonesia was involved, like that's what was happening. It was just
Wow.
total warfare. Like boats like blowing stuff up. They got to the islands, they would blow the islands up. Like, they'd capture people, like just doing crazy stuff. So there was actually a Spice Island War,
Whoa.
and it was a few different islands, but it lasted for like 200 years.
What?
From the 15th until the 17th century, Spain, Portugal, England, and Holland all fought for control.
On these Indonesian
All these
islands?
Indonesian islands, yep. Just like the Asian spice trade in general. But like, yes, particularly the Indonesian islands got wrecked.
Oh my god, these poor people who live there.
And that's where, yeah, and to this day, like a lot of these islanders, like they have reclaimed their space. But what's really sad about it is during this, they weren't just taking their resources and enslaving them in their own lands. Like they were taking their resources, moving these people from one island to another island to do the same similar, slave stuff with crops. And then they would move the other people just for control moves, just
Wow.
just like we did. Just like America did. No different. Like that's how it was already a thing.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Um so yeah, the worst of them being the Dutch East India Company.
Ooh.
Literally, like if you think about it, they were the pirates. Tell any pirate story you want, but in reality, these people were the pirates. They were pillaging, they were doing what they wanted, they were taking things that weren't theirs.
Yeah.
I obviously didn't know much about Indonesia, but I learned a whole lot. It is, if you guys don't know where it is, it's like near Australia. It's a cluster of islands that sit in between like Thailand and Australia.
Okay.
Like kind of like on like off the coasts of the Asian shoreline. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Like
yeah.
in the Pacific Ocean. And there's a lot of them. A lot of tiny islands, and they all have, different types of spices, but mainly clove and nutmeg.
Mhm.
Um
These are the only places that those two crops grow?
to begin with, and then they started to move them around. And so what ended up happening on some of these islands is like one of the Dutch's technique was they were like, okay, screw this, we already have islands that produce these things, now we're just going to go to the other islands and destroy it.
What?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
For why?
Just highly desirable stuff. That's what they were there for. Like they were there to control the trades. It just became a very cruel game, is
Mm,
what it kind of seems like. Like it just got to them. It was all or nothing, is what it kind of seemed like. One of the islands was called the Banda Islands.
okay.
And what really stuck out to me was how so I learned about this particular island in a few different ways, but the most I learned was from the documentary I watched,
Mhm.
and the route that and how she had to even just get to these islands today was incredible. It puts you kind of already where these people were, these explorers, I guess is what we'll call
Wow.
them, were, because you needed to know someone. Someone needed to bring you there.
Mhm.
You cannot, there is not an airport on this island. Like you take a boat,
Yeah.
and she was just on this little boat, and they got her there, and it's just like one of those things like, wow, this is out here.
It
And
makes me think of, Alaskan bush people, how they would have to have those
yes,
planes that could land on the
on
water
the
to bring them
water.
supplies, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, I just thought it was really cool, like just even how she got there. I was like, all right, you have my attention. Like what is going on at the Banda Islands? And a lot, honestly, and it's like really sad. When you go to the Banda Islands, you are instantly overwhelmed with very large trees, but also a very large reminder that white people did something horrible here. The islanders themselves to this day still don't really trust visitors.
I don't blame them.
Duh.
Get out of
Get
here. Why
outta
are you
here.
visiting? Leave us alone. That's how I would feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of forts on the island. A lot of the people on the islands speak Dutch, speak
Whoa.
Portuguese, speak Spanish.
So, like, depending on the island is the language that they
They
speak?
still have their own languages, but the other languages they speak are those languages, and it's because they were colonized for so long.
Wow.
It's like how down in the Caribbean they speak French, and you're like, why do you speak
Oh, I didn't
French?
know that.
Yeah, they speak French.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot
Huh.
of the Caribbean islanders like speak Creole French.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because they were colonized by the French for the longest.
That makes sense.
But yeah, just small stuff like that. So the Banda Islands, they were discovered by the Dutch. When they did that, they gathered all the chiefs and they murdered them.
Typical.
Then they massacred the majority of the Bandanese population and enslaved the rest.
My God.
Over time, they repopulated the island with slaves from other islands to work the nutmeg farms.
What?
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, just let them work the nutmeg farms. You know what I mean? But it
Oh.
was a control factor. It was because they knew, one, they were probably outnumbered.
Yeah. They don't want people who know the area
Yeah.
'cause that could help
And
them escape.
yeah, so they had people come from other islands that they did the same thing to work the nutmeg farms. And today, the indigenous people of this island, they actually still. So Indonesian islands in general all hold a ceremony. It's a tradition called uh, kakalele. And these Indonesian islands, they do it a little bit different to honor the chiefs.
Okay.
And so I thought that was pretty cool. There's like a dance that they do. And I think that's pretty cool because
Mhm.
like they obviously outlasted the Dutch. But
Good for
it
them.
came with like a lot of resilience and them losing a lot of their people.
Yeah.
Regardless, the nutmeg tree did originate here. I didn't know this about nutmegs, but there's like layers to them.
What is a nutmeg?
It's a tree.
Okay.
It is a very big tree.
Like just your regular ass maple tree?
Tall, like huge tree.
Okay.
And the nutmeg, it reminds me of they're like shriveled up. It reminds me of like a peach pit or like I'm gonna say nutmeg, but what like a chestnut,
I was just about to say, I was like, what did we
And
have for
so like
Thanksgiving for the
so
first
like
time?
the first layer isn't the nutmeg. The first layer is used like medicinally, I'm pretty sure.
The shell?
Yeah. They, like grind it up and do stuff with it. And
Does it
then
have a shell?
yeah, but it's like weird looking. And then the next layer is called mace, and they use that for like perfumes and stuff.
Okay.
And so it's like a twofer, like a threefer.
What's the consistency of mace?
It's like you peel it off. And
It's
it's
like
like this
filmy?
red film.
Red. I was
Yeah.
picturing white.
No, it's like red film. And then it's the nutmeg.
Oh, wow. What's the
It's
nutmeg look like?
like a large sunflower seed, but not that color.
Okay.
I can't remember what
Like
color it was.
elongated?
Yeah. A little
Weird.
bigger, like bigger than a sunflower,
Oh,
obviously.
wow. Like an
Yeah.
almond?
Yeah, but bigger still
Bigger than an almond.
and smooth.
Oh, wow.
Like the shell is gone. So we continue on to the description of another Indonesian island. So this story I think is like extra messed up because this involves two islands, and when the Portuguese, it was the Portuguese this time again, when they arrived, these two islands were fighting. The two sultans were at war.
Okay.
So they used that to their advantage.
Jeez Louise.
They were like, "We got guns. Which one of you wants them?" Basically, the two islands are called the Trinidad Islands and the Tidore Islands.
Okay.
They obviously both claim to be the best. The Portuguese ended up picking the Trinidad Sultan, gave him weapons, and obviously that helped him win his war.
Mm.
So, now the Portuguese and the Trinidad chief, like, they're buddy, right? So he's like, let me show you my island. So they're getting
Oh,
all
buddy.
chummy, and lo and behold, what's on the island? Clove. They've been looking for it
How'd they know it existed?
because it had been coming from the Arab merchant trade. Because if you think about
Oh,
it, it's really far from them, but to the Indian coast, no.
right,
You know somebody, and they did because they weren't showing up and killing each other. They were just
right.
like, "Can I have some of your cloves, please?"
Like civilized people.
Yes, exactly. So now they know they have it there, and now the Trinati are screwed. Because obviously, like so Portuguese and Dutch, like they kind of had different tactics when they would show up to islands. Like the Dutch, like they were just evil.
Mm,
They would show up and they would be like, "Give me all your shit." Okay, well, I'm gonna take it anyway. You know what I mean? Like they didn't care, and then they would go for it. They would just take people, move them. Like I said,
right,
Portuguese, they would pretend to be buddy. Like we want this to be a mutual exchange. Like they would pretend to be like, we're just merchant.
right.
We're just here. Like we have things to trade with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that didn't work, they would switch gears. And so that's what ends up happening. They tried to seize control, but it did not work.
Who did?
The Portuguese. So they kidnap the Sultan and they kill him. It backfires so quickly and they did not expect it because they had already done it in other
Right.
places and it had worked.
But the people
The
just like,
Trinatians were like, what the hell did you just do?
but the other people were just like, oh, that's it.
I don't know. I mean, I think they just, I don't know. Maybe they weren't as prideful people, but it kind of sounds like they were already ramped up. You know what I mean? It's just like you killed our sultan, I feel like sultans, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
If you're living in a place that has a sultan, like that sounds intense. And honestly, when I watched, this is a side note, this isn't in here. When I watched the documentary, she went to an Indonesian island
Mhm.
that still to this day had a sultan.
What is a sultan?
A sultan I would compare to like a emperor,
Okay.
like they're in charge. But it was very like royal family-esque. Like it was a
Mhm.
whole thing. Like you don't show up to the island without the sultan knowing what you are doing here.
Wow.
And so she shows up and
The
they had, like, a whole-
documentary lady?
yeah, they ended up having a whole service for her, and they like throned her. She became a princess and a consultant for like this Indonesian island somewhere, and it was just
Just for showing up?
a lot, yeah, and like a lot of pride in their country, and just I don't know, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a side note. But I just think, yeah, so like the Sultan, I think if you mess with that one even today, I think a similar thing would happen. It's
Yeah.
very like, that's our Sultan. What have you done? So yes, they were pissed. They obviously knew that they didn't have guns and what they had, but they did know that they only had limited supplies in their little fort because they all like they made a fort, right? And then they all ran back to it when they killed them because they were like, "Oh
The
my goodness!"
Portuguese
Yes,
did?
they were like, "Yikes!" They go back to their fort, and so they just surrounded the place. They surrounded the place for 5 years.
Whoa, I thought you were gonna say days.
5 years.
Who's surrounding?
The Trinations.
Okay.
They're like, "That's fine. You can stay, but you certainly can't leave your fort without explaining yourself."
Do you know how many
So
Portuguese were cooped up in there altogether?
I don't remember how many, but I feel like it was like 50 or so. It
That's
was
a
a good
lot of
amount of
people.
people. 5 years, they ran out of food. They
Oh, I
ran out
believe
of
it.
just hope, and so the Trinations were free.
Wow.
I feel like they let them leave. I wouldn't let them leave. I
I
probably would
wouldn't
kill them
either.
all. But they let them leave, and so that was that. Then the Dutch show up.
Jesus. Get out of here.
So the Dutch already had, like I said, they already had farming control in other islands.
Right.
So they are just here to destroy. They don't know that. So they, they're playing their cards a little differently. They're like, this is what the people want instead. So they were like tricking them into like, we'll give you this for that. But they were taking like the limbs of the trees and the seeds. And so eventually all the trees were gone
Ah!
or dying,
Oh my God.
except for one tree.
Is this real or is this like a
This is
legend?
real.
Wow. Okay.
For one tree that was in the Sultan's palace, his garden. So obviously the Dutch like did their destruction, but today Ternate be covered in clove trees.
From this one tree.
And they all are like, it is from this one tree because it's an island. Like they're
Yeah.
not lying. Like it is from that tree. And I think it's incredible because yes, the Dutch, the Portuguese, probably other countries showed up
So
and
if
did
the
their
Dutch
destruction.
were successful, we wouldn't have nutmeg today? Or other trees had
No,
already gotten out?
they would have been successful still because they had another island that they had
They
had
just
control
didn't
of.
want.
So they were going to the other islands just destroying stuff now.
Oh.
Like they were just being extra rude. No reason for it.
Okay, I understand.
That's the story of Ternate. And
That's an
so,
inspiring story.
yeah.
How terrible it is.
Yeah. And clove is a similar process to peppercorn. It is like the bud on the tree, and they take it before it flowers,
Okay.
and they put it on a mat for 3 days,
Cloves are like those
and they
spiky
dry it out.
things
There's like
that you like push in oranges for Christmas
it.
or for toothaches. Like that's clove, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. But when it comes off, it really does look like a flower bud.
The round part on the spiky part, is that the flower? Like dried out or something? The dried bud?
Yeah, it's like a bud, right?
Okay.
And so they dry it out, and then they also use the stems get used for clove cigarettes. So it's like a double quantity, which I thought was pretty cool.
That is
But
really
they dry
cool.
them out for 3 days, and that's how
Do they
clove
dance on 'em?
is made. No, they don't
That would
dance on
hurt.
those. Yeah, they pluck them.
That's really cool.
But I thought it was cool because in the documentary, it was just like all these kids, various ages, just climbing up these huge trees. Like,
Wow.
just plucking all these things off the tree.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I want to see like a picture of it on the tree. Like what they're looking for.
I can try and find a picture if you want.
Yeah, we should put it on our Instagram.
I totally will. So now we're gonna talk a little bit about cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
So
One of my
okay,
faves.
really blew my mind.
Okay, can I tell you what I
Yeah.
think I know about cinnamon?
Yeah, yeah.
So I saw a TikTok video
Okay.
and this guy he like cut into the bark of this tree
hmm
and like took it off, kind of like you can take off birch bark. Like he just like unwrapped it from the tree and then he like cut it up and those dried, and when he dried them they like curled in to that like quintessential cinnamon heart shape that you see on cinnamon
Yeah.
sticks.
That's exactly
And
what
then
happens.
if you want cinnamon ground, you just grind up the cinnamon sticks, which
Yeah.
are just curled bark.
So that's exactly how it happens.
Wow, okay. Sorry to take your thunder.
No. It's really okay. It's really interesting. Cinnamon originates in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And like you said, they're very thin. They look like saplings.
Are they small trees or do you have
Yes.
to get them when they're small? Do they stay small or it's just
I don't actually know the answer to
Oh,
that.
okay.
Um,
Because the guy,
but they were
it was like
small.
the branch he took it off of was like the size of my arm.
Yeah, they're pretty thin branches that they're working with. Anyway,
I wonder if it regenerates, like birch bark, how underneath is like
maybe,
soft and then it becomes
possibly,
hard.
yeah. That actually probably could be how they a thing. I'm not sure though. But
Mhm.
so it's a small tree. It gets cut down, and then like you said, the bark is peeled off, and then
So it doesn't regenerate because they're like cutting the whole thing.
yeah, they do like the ones that they had like they're like pretty long. Like the length of the people that were like sitting
Wow.
down. The way they would do it is because it's like mass production, right?
Hmm.
So they're pretty tall. Like the ones that the guy was selling were probably like basketball diameter thick.
Whoa.
And then I would say probably like 2.5 feet long.
That's big.
Yeah. Like big bundles. The way they would weigh it was on this hanging
Oh,
scale on his
the bundle
porch.
is the size of a basketball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They would bundle it up. They would layer it back in and it would dry
Okay.
out that way. So they would do it in big ones. But yeah, it'd be like long quills. It's really cool.
Weird.
So in Sri Lanka, there is a group of people. They're an ancient caste, and they're called the Salagima.
Okay.
They have always been the primary keepers of cinnamon and the
Whoa.
production of cinnamon.
The primary keepers.
Even before the Portuguese got there, they were in charge of it, right? They had rituals towards it, but it's also just a process and how they do it. Was passed down. When the Portuguese got there, they ended up monopolizing their skills.
Right.
Obviously, one of the only reasons that this group of people even survived was just because they knew how to work the cinnamon.
Oh, wow. They were useful.
Because when they showed up, they couldn't figure out where the cinnamon was coming from. They would snap the leaf and they would smell it and they'd be like, guys, like they really just they didn't understand. But
Right.
like that makes sense. Like I would be the same way. I'd be like,
Yeah.
where are you growing it?
I didn't
Where
know
are these
about cloves. I
shoots?
didn't know about nutmeg.
Because obviously it doesn't look like that by
Right.
the time it's dried out. So that's how they kind of got to stick around at least. Every year in Kandy, Sri Lanka,
Mm.
there is a festival to celebrate the resilience that Sri Lanka had, and they're very religious. They're Buddhist,
Ah, okay.
and so like there's a lot of like glam to it, like the gold and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so
That's a yearly thing?
yes, and so that this ceremony already was happening before the Portuguese got here,
Mm.
but then they obviously are there to mess stuff up. So it ended up amplifying it
Right.
because of what they did. So every year in Kandy, Asala Perahera, also known as the Festival of the Tooth,
What?
yep, includes several days of traditional performances like fire and whip dances. And like I said, it existed already before that.
What's up with the teeth?
The reason there is the Festival of the Tooth is when Buddha died, he was cremated,
Okay.
and it is believed that
One
4
tooth.
teeth
Oh,
remained.
a singular tooth.
One of them ended up at the Kingdom of Candy, and because of that, they have a whole temple dedicated to just holding
Wow.
this tooth.
Is it still there?
And every year they would parade it around. I think so, yeah.
They still have the tooth?
Of course, yeah. Are you kidding me? It's Buddha's tooth. Of course they have it. So
Somebody loses Buddha's
when
tooth.
the Portuguese were there, they thought they were gonna be extra evil, and they thought they stole the tooth.
Who stole the tooth?
The Portuguese thought they stole it, but really
Get out of
they're
here.
too smart for that, and that was one of their prized possessions. So they actually had like a replica up in there when the Portuguese arrived. They were like, absolutely not. We need to hide all of our things.
Yeah.
So they didn't actually end up getting it. So now when the festival happens, it's an extra like, fuck you. It's kind of what it seems like. I don't know. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That is really cool.
They thought they were going to be smart in stealing it. And when they tried to steal it, they ambushed them. And that's how they got the Portuguese to leave.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so the Portuguese tried to steal the tooth
Yes.
and then they ambushed the Portuguese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like a setup.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Because yes, they wanted the spices, right? And all these islands, they wanted the spices. In some way, they did get them. They got access to them to this day. These places are probably still taken advantage of because they're not getting all the profits,
Right.
worldly profits, I'll say. But at the end of the day, like these islands, they have their spaces back now. So I think
Good.
that's pretty cool. The 3-hour documentary obviously kind of made really large points about how it is important that we know where all this stuff comes from
Absolutely.
because you don't think about it.
No.
But at one point, like our ancestors didn't have access to these things, and the way they went about it is definitely not correct
Hmm.
and lasting.
I really didn't pin it on the Portuguese to be such
Horrible.
spice-loving
Their
people.
kings were very, just like the other kings. It was very much like who's gonna get there first
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But despite all of that, like Sri Lanka still is one of the bigger suppliers of cinnamon. They used to be number one, but the tsunamis kind of took out a lot of
Oh,
their
no.
like because it's in a jungle. You just walk through and it's like, oh, there's cinnamon. You know what I mean? Like it's
Wow.
very interesting. But yeah, they still hold the standard for cinnamon though. Like the best cinnamon will come
Oh,
from
I
Sri
believe
Lanka.
it.
I learned a lot more than I'm speaking on, but it was very eye-opening.
Mm.
Because obviously, like Anna knows, I got very into how the hell do you make spices? Like I really just didn't know. And so that's why one, I was so easily intrigued by the documentary and then
Mhm.
all the other articles I read, but it's something that I definitely want to venture into. But there's also some things that we just physically can't really grow here.
Right.
And that's okay because it's important still to kind of give other people like, hey, that's your thing. I've got this thing over here. Let's trade. I think
Yeah.
that's important. We as a country imported $414 million worth of spices
Wow.
last year alone. Last year,
In 1 year.
in 1 year. And so, that number to me means that we heavily rely on these countries still to
Mhm.
this day. And that also means that we are taking advantage of these countries still to this day
Yeah.
because they're not seeing $414 million.
No.
No way.
No way. Do you know how many spices we produce here? Like, what is our biggest spice
I
that we
didn't,
produce?
I didn't actually come across like this is what we make in America. I thought it was really interesting how we even kind of landed in America. Like people always have this weird story about Christopher Columbus that is all just it's lies. It's made up. I don't know why they taught it to us in school. Like I think about it at least once a year. It just doesn't make sense to me because
Mhm.
it's an actual story that someone just made up. He was looking for spices. They were supposed to be going to these people from Portugal when they arrived in the islands, the Caribbean islands at first.
Yeah.
They were trying to get to the Spice Islands. They went the wrong way. They thought they could go the other way. They didn't realize America was there. So
Right.
when they landed on the shore, it was not Asia, it was Mexico.
And that's why they found the Indians
Yeah.
in
Yep.
quotes.
And so in Mexico, just this is just a little bit facts. This isn't in my notes, but I did learn about it. I thought it was cool. In Mexico is where vanilla beans came
I was
from,
gonna ask, like, what are the Native Americans
and then
using
cacao. And so
as
when they showed
spices?
up, they got addicted to this drink that they drank
Oh, yeah, I
because it
believe
was
it.
just, so flavorful. And so that kind of started a thing. So for the longest time, these explorers for kings were bringing back seeds, beans, like trying to grow these plants. Like every time they went, they were always bringing them back and trying to grow them places. One of the one plants that they had a really hard time planting was the vanilla bean.
Mm.
They could not figure out for the life of them how it got pollinated
Oh, interesting.
because they hadn't figured out pollination on your own yet. No one had figured that part out yet.
Right.
And so they kept
So what? There wasn't like a native bug in their area to
that's
do
what
it
it
for
was.
them?
It was a bee
Okay.
that was in this jungle, and it was the only bee that did it.
Mhm.
And so they figured that part out, and they were like, "Okay, so, like, we can't really do this." And then they tried to plant it in Madagascar because they had colonies there already.
I really wouldn't have put it past these people to be like, "All right, well, now we have to go get those bees.
Yeah.
Round them
Well,
up,
I think
bring them
I
over."
feel like they probably tried. But so on this colony in Madagascar, they could grow the plants. It was like a good like the tropical area was similar. So they could grow the plants, but they still weren't pollinating. Literally this slave who was I think he was like 14 or something. He figured out how to pollinate them by himself.
Wow.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
And in a perfect world, he would have been freed, he would have became the
Yeah.
world's first millionaire.
Yeah. Can't remember his name. I'm horrible. I'll put it in the notes. But yeah, so that was just my random fact just from what I remembered that I
Wow.
didn't put in here. But yeah, there was a lot of interesting tales and facts about Mexico, but I didn't want to keep going on it.
Well, if this is 101, maybe there should be
Yeah.
a Spices 201. 'Cause I
I
am curious, what are the Native Americans doing?
yeah, that is true.
'Cause both of the Americas, the native people
Yeah,
of both of the
yeah,
Americas, because obviously Portuguese had what was upstairs. They weren't very interested in heading up, it seems. They were interested in heading
yeah, and
over.
I feel like I don't even know if they knew it was there.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is connected, right?
Yeah, but, like,
Through
if they
Central
drove through,
America?
like, the
Drove
islands
through.
and then into the
Like, beep, beep.
if they, like on a boat, right? It's not like they're on a plane, they can't look down.
Right.
So, like, they're on the boat, they hit the islands, they keep going straight, they end up, like, basically going through the Gulf, and they land in Mexico. So they just went straight. On either side of them is South America, like you're saying, and then North America.
Mhm.
They kinda just go through, so I feel like they probably just had no idea what was surrounding them yet.
Interesting.
Yeah. All for spices. All to be able to say, "I have this,"
Like, I
or "I have
wonder
control of this."
wonder what they were doing for spices in, like, Greenland.
Yeah.
Like, w
So, I mean, like I said, like, other than if you were rich, you had some access to spices in European countries, but for the most part, like, it was fairly bland
mm,
until they started doing all this stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah.
Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I journeyed into making my own spices. There are some that we can make on our own that are fairly simple. Some, you have to have the product and you don't have to grow them like we did. But last year, we were very successful at growing cayenne peppers.
Mhm. It was our
And
first time
yeah,
trying to do it too.
we don't really like, I'm not a jalapeno guy. We don't really, like, slice spicy peppers up and, like, use them in things, but we do use a lot of cayenne pepper.
Mhm.
And so we made our own, and it was, fairly straightforward.
The color difference was insane.
Incredible. So, obviously, step 1, we grew the cayenne peppers. They maintain themselves fairly well. Once they
Mhm.
start growing, they grow. We would let them, like, curl around. It was very cool to even just watch them grow. And then we cut them up. We put them in our dehydrator. Once we did that, Anna actually has mortem pestle, and so we used that to grind it up. That part was probably the most demanding part.
Yeah, 'cause you're, like,
You
breathing it
gotta
in.
really grind it in, and like Anna said, do not breathe it in. Oh my gosh, I did it. I made that mistake one time. Inhale, and I was coughing for a very long time. It
Yeah.
was it was a lot. It reminds me of the rookie mistake when you're cleaning out the bay sinks and there's jalapeno juice in there. That was horrible. That's happened to me once at my last job and
Kick it up into
never
the air.
forget. Jeez. But yeah, so there's a lot of things, and then like garlic powder as well. There's a lot of different methods, but homestead life, you really want to try and use everything you have.
Hmm.
And I think I've actually spoke about this before because I'm actually obsessed with the fact that you can do it. But when you get fresh garlic cloves, obviously there's a lot of layering in the peels. Those peels you can actually dry out in your oven, and then you can grind those up as well, and you can make garlic powder. To make a more potent form of it, obviously you can use the whole thing, and that's where we would have to use the dehydrator. But there are a lot of things that we use a lot, like garlic powder people use, cayenne pepper people use. And you can make those things by yourself after you get your garden on.
Same thing goes for onion powder.
Yes, yep, that's true. Um, so yeah, that's my rant about spices, I
Heck
suppose.
yeah. Good job.
Thanks.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, spices were definitely a lot more exciting than I thought.
Yeah.
Thought it was gonna be very cut and dry, like this is how it is grown. That's it. But obviously, it came with some spice.
I think you did a really good job because when you said you were doing spices, I was like, oh God, this is going to be such a sad, dark episode. 'Cause I
I
don't know what I was
I did
thinking
kind
of.
of
Like maybe
pass over a lot of the bad stuff.
I don't know if I was thinking of this silk. tr- What is that? The silk trail?
Mhm.
Because that's dark. And so I was thinking it's going to be similar to that.
The migration
So I
trail,
think
yeah.
you did a really good job of like touching on it, but not like bumming us all out.
Thanks, I tried because
It's important to know. It's important to recognize
and
like
it is
that.
a dark
Yeah.
history. I do encourage you guys all to look into it 'cause it's very cool. Even if you just look into the islands,
Mm.
beautiful.
Can you visit or they're still kind of like, please don't? You said that
They
one island
do
was like,
the it's more like what I noticed when I was kinda researching, some of the information I was getting that I didn't really use, but I read it. One of them came from actually, like, a sea log of this
whoa.
family who was on a epic boat adventure, like, with their boat.
Wow.
And so it kinda seems like that's how you travel to those places. It's like excursions.
Okay.
You go maybe but yes, people still go there, but it's definitely not like Hawaii where
Mhm.
it's
Touristy.
touristy. No, it's not
They're like,
at
you're
all.
coming
It's
here and
like
you're living like we live.
excursion. Yeah. This is how it be, basically. Yeah, in another world, if I was a millionaire, that's definitely what I would be spending my money on is seeing places like that.
Are we ready for our Farmer's Almanac?
Oh yeah.
So today is Thursday, April 23rd, supposedly, hopefully. And today is the feast of St. George.
Hoo-hee.
Mhm. Yeah, also
What's for
today,
dinner, George?
yeah, right. What you cooking,
Yeah.
George? Canada issued its first postal stamp, the 3 pence beaver, in 1851.
Oh, that's really
Today,
cute.
and today is the best day to bake, buy a home, mow to promote growth, plant above ground crops, graft or pollinate, and purchase animals. Big day.
Wow.
Get out there, bake,
Anna, are you trying to tell me
buy a
something?
home, purchase animals.
Bake me cookies. So, as always, you will find our my show notes rather, where you can go check out all the stuff that I was telling you about. If you have 3 hours to kill, definitely watch that documentary. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
And we
Um,
talked about doing a Patreon for the maple syrup because we were so excited because the stuff just came in today. But we should do a Patreon episode to go along with this episode about where we do our own spices.
yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Because I feel like I'm gonna try and do some different ones this year. I just need to figure out how they are made.
Yes.
Um, and Anna actually now has a very fancy uh grinder that's like a multifunction, and so I think we'll
Mm.
be able to use that for some of them as well, and that way we won't have hand cramps.
You're talking about the mill?
Yeah,
Oh, heck yeah.
so I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool beans. Well, if you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can do so at Two Tools No Clue Podcast. TikTok, you can find us at Two Tools No Clue. You can subscribe to our Patreon and check out the spice video and the maple syrup video
Heck yeah.
and our jam and jelly video and behind the scenes and pre-launch videos. We got it all over
And
there.
bloopers of
Oh
me
my God,
messing up
so good.
because there's some pretty good ones. If you would like to email
Wait,
us.
I didn't say it. That's patreon.com/2toolsnoclue.
Sorry, Anna. And if you want to email us, you can email us your stories, any ideas that you might have, any comments that you have, really anything.
Anything.
If you just want to say hi, if you have any questions for us, we could always answer them in our next podcast. That's
Yeah, we
pretty
could do a
cool. And you
question and
can,
answer.
yeah, that would be fun. You can email us any of that at twotoolsnocluepodcast@gmail.com.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. As always, thank you for tuning in and listening to us. And we hope you stay safe out there.
We'll see you next week.
Heck yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Two tools. Two tools. Two tools.